Hello, it's time for Combat Patrol Carnage. So we're back with a brand new video for Combat Patrol Carnage, and it's an unboxing because we have a little brown box filled with delivery free. So we have issues 7 to 10 in there, which gives us 10 Termagants over 2 issues, 2 new paints, and the Terminator Librarian plus a new brush. So I'm looking forward to the Terminator Librarian issue. It'd be quite interesting to see how they paint him. I personally like to give them darker blue armor, but we'll see what the magazine actually shows us. Also in the delivery we get our next gift, which is a fantastic Combat Patrol folder. Yeah, for freebie it's not too bad, but I do suggest picking up some cheaper ones for future deliveries, as it's going to be $10.99 from now on if you want the awesome branded folder. Picking up a cheap one from either The Works or WH Smith and customizing it yourself, it would be a little bit cheaper for you. Time consuming, yes, but definitely cheaper for you. Yeah, that's what I'm not too sure if I'm going to break up the issues myself and divide them up, but definitely probably going to put the issues away in the folder instead of loose in a stack box for the moment. We'll see how things go for future issues though. So before we jump over the table and dive into our new box of models, don't forget Combat Patrol Carnage is proudly sponsored by Warbay.shop, your one-stop supply for all your hobby needs. I've recently picked up a squad of Terminators, converting them into Blood Angel Assault Terminators for my Blood Angels army, and a Stormhawk Interceptor to add to my Grey Knights, as I've always fancied one for them. But yeah, they've had a lovely recent restock of models. They stock everything from AOS, 40k, and many other game systems besides. So do check them out. There'll be a link in the video description as always for Warbay.shop. And who knows, you may just find your next hobby project at a bit of a discount. Right, that's enough rambling. Let's head over to the table and we'll crack open the box of our third delivery. Here we are then at the table with our cardboard box for our latest delivery. A bit of a spoiler there, I forgot to put that in upside down. But we'll start there. We've got issue 10, so our Terminator Librarian and our first new brush. Issue 9 then, we have 2 new paints, Abaddon Black and Retributor Armor and lovely gold. So we'll be adding some fine details to our Ultramarines and even some bits to our Tyranids. And finally for issues we have 7 and 8, which brings us our first 10 Termagants. So I'll be doing the building for these guys, as I said previously in issue 7 video, and the painting for these guys in issue 8. So yeah, part of the benefit of doing this as an unboxing. And finally then, throw away the box, we've got the folder. So let's get this out of the way. It is a quite nice folder, lovely. On the outside we have all our armies, so Tyranids and Space Marines, Eldar and Chaos Space Marines, Orcs and Leagues of Votan, GC the Cults and Imperial Guard, and finally World Eaters. Strange they're showing the Kazakin. We don't actually get any of those for the Imperial Guard. Would have been nice if we did get the Kazakin. They are awesome models. But yeah, just a regular veteran guardsman there, looking pretty cool. So yeah, World Eater looking nice. Genius of the Cults looking amazing. Can't wait for these. I quite like the look of what they're doing for the paint guide, as we saw in issue 2. Leagues of Votan I'm really excited for as well. Yeah, nice black and yellow colour scheme. Looks pretty good. Orcs, not too keen on, but I'm going to enjoy painting them nonetheless. Really looking forward to these two. They've gone with Ulfway on the picture here, but I think the magazine's going to be painting them in classic Sam Hahn, which we saw in, again, issue 2. And the Chaos Space Marines, they've got the classic 6th edition art, which I believe was of Crimson Slaughter Chaos Space Marines. But yeah, we're going to be doing them as Black Legion. So on the inside, we've got those same images, but this time reversed. So instead of having the last armies there, we got them, the first armies in proper order. In black and white this time around. Nice that we actually have detail on the inside. I believe the last bunch of folders we had with D&D and I think Stormbringer had no internal pictures whatsoever. They're just plain white, and yeah, it felt like a kick in the pants. We do have lovely dividers though, so build, paint, read, collect, and play. So no actual written information on them, so obviously they're not breaking it down as much as they did with Imperium magazine, where they had each different section. That was quite nice. Maybe cutting costs, but yeah. That's our first folder, and will be probably my only folder. I'm going to make sure I mention I don't want any more folders. $10.99 for that is, yeah, a bit pricey for just what it is. Flimsy bit of board and metal clasp. But anyway, let's dive in. So we'll kick off with issue 7. So issue 7 then, our first of our new issues. So in it we get 2 of the 3 frames from the Tyranid Termagants, a little bit on the warped side. But that's fine. Shouldn't affect the actual models. Nope, everything looks fine. So yeah, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on here. So we could actually build those 6 if we had the bases, but we don't get the bases till issue 8. Still, nonetheless, some really cool models. We also get a range ruler. So whether this is going to be the first range ruler we get, because I don't think it's going to be very good for full games of Combat Patrol, when we're going to need bigger boards and longer ranges. So yeah, I do recommend getting yourself a cheap tape measure, Poundland, B&M, do them fairly cheap. Yeah, just grab one of those, perfect for measuring your ranges. So let's have a quick flick through the actual issue. So it's part 1 of 2. So we have our complete build guide for the Termagants and Ripper Swarm, which is why I'm going to be doing building in this, painting in issue 8. We have a page for the Angels of Death, looking more into the Space Marines. We have a page for the Hive Mind, looking more into the Tyranids. Lovely Space Wolf, Terminator Librarian, or Rune Priest as it would be in the Space Wolf mythos. Bit about synaptic organisms and decapitation, so a new short story there, which, as it says here, the Ultramarines will be facing off against a surgical strike of a Hive Tyrant there, looking very brutal. Really cool, nice artwork. I don't think I've ever seen that artwork before. Looks like it could be like from a card game or something. That definitely looks card game or roleplay book artwork. Very similar to the style for the Fantasy Flight role-playing games. Then we have our game tutorials, so moving and measuring, all about how to move your units, making sure you use coherency for your units as well. So yeah, covering everything you need for movement, covering engagement range, where you can and can't move, how to move the units, and threat ranges, so figuring out how dangerous your units can be. Most people will say a unit has a threat range of 18 inches, which is a 6-inch move plus your 12-inch range. So yeah, pistol wielding units will only, some pistols are only 6 inches, so you only have a 12-inch range effectively. But yeah, pretty cool. Then we have Waking the Swarm, so our latest tutorial, seeing Infernus Marines up against Barb Gaunts with 2 terrain pieces in the way. So a very simple game. It looks like we are actually moving with movement characteristics, so pretty cool. We're actually learning about moving and shooting, making use of cover, and then engaging the enemies in a shootout. Pretty cool. So, issue 8. In this we get the bases and our last 4 models. So there we have the last 4 Termagants, and I believe the Rippers are actually on the other frame. So we get a 40mm base for our Ripper Swarm, and the 10 28mm bases for our Termagants. So there we go, that's all that, put that to one side. Into issue 8, so we are first greeted by our paint guide, painting up the Tyranids very similar to how we have done for the previous issue, so giving a full over Wraithbone coat. I may have to break my rule of doing things only as the magazine says and grab my spray can, because I'm dangerously low on Wraithbone. I could dip into my own personal collection, but I think a spray would get me a little bit further. But yeah, I'll definitely spray them, give them a once over of Wraithbone, and then we can apply the Baronar Burgundy. But that's pretty much it. Very basic for the moment. We will be adding more detail to them in the next issue. Information wise, we have a page all about the Imperium and the Departamento Minitorum, who deal with all the logistics of fighting a war in the way of dealing with the manufacture and distribution of ammunition, etc. We have a page all about the Second Tyrannic War, seeing High Fleet Kraken, my favourite High Fleet, as I've mentioned before. This involves the Battle of Iyanden, where Craft Lord Iyanden was pretty much wiped out by the Tyranids, only saved by the return of Prince Uriel. And on Ikar 4, where the Imperium faced off against the Tyranids, Marneus Calgar got his revenge, decapitating a Hive Tyrant. Actually, a Swarm Lord, I believe it was. Then we have another page all about the Tyranids, this one being the Great Devourer and how the fleet actually works in space, and how they destroy a world. Then we have our name article for our Termagants, and we're ready to go into our new mission. So we're learning about charging and combat finally. Well, we've learned about combat previously, but we're now learning about charging, which is the all-important move of being able to get into close combat. Then we have our latest mission, so Ambush Predators, sees the Von Ryan's Leapers, 10 Termagants, and the Infernus Marines. Again, 2 pieces of terrain to work around. And yeah, we just move, eliminate the Termagants with the Infernus Marines, and try to avoid death by the Von Ryan's Leapers. So as you can see, the Von Ryan's Leapers do have to make a fair bit of a move across the battlefield to get to them. And that's that. Up next, issue 9. So issue 9, a bit of a letdown issue for the delivery, as it's only a paint issue and we only get 2 paints, which it would have been cheaper to just pop out and buy a pot of Abaddon Black and Retributor armor. But yeah, the paint issues will always be a bit of a poor value for money, as we will see savings elsewhere, like with the Termagants, and as we'll see in issue 10 of that Terminator Librarian. So let's have a look what we got to do. So first off, we got a paint guide. So we are painting gun casings, joints in the armor, gun casing again on the Storm Bolter there, and any strap and fuel casing pieces for our sergeant there. Then we're going into the Retributor armor and painting the metal trim, any honor markings, the chest eagles, any little reliquaries. And again, more details on our captain. There's loads to paint on our captain. We've got the hilt of his sword. He's got plenty of embellishments across his chest. I'm surprised they haven't painted the Iron Halo yet. They painted the outside of it, apparently. That's about it. So obviously we're going to be painting that grey or something in a future issue. But yeah, our Space Marines are starting to look a little bit more complete now. We've actually got more colours on them. So yeah, looking forward to painting my guys. I've already figured out what I'm going to do for these tutorials. I'm going to focus mainly on the two big characters. And then we'll be able to... I'll paint everything else on my own time. Yeah. Definitely need to focus on the Infernus Marines more than anything, as we'll need them for playing our games. Is it just me, or are they showing 6 Infernus Marines? So someone has been duplicated. I can't see who. Ah, that guy. Why are they showing him twice? I do not know. Very odd. Onto the Tyranids then. We're painting a lot of the claws and the melee weapons and the hooves with Abaddon Black, and claws and gun casings on the shooting units, again with Abaddon Black. So adding a third colour now to our Tyranids, and yeah, they look a lot better now. And they've got a little bit more colour on them. Still far from complete though. Moving on to our read articles, we've got all about chapters. So we're starting to learn about the different chapters of the Space Marines. So we go into some, my personal favourite, of course, the Blood Angels, next to the Crimson Fists, which are my pure favourites. We've got the Silver Templars, Space Wolves, and the Dark Angels. We've got another short story, Bonds of Honor Part 2. So continuing our short story from issue 4, I believe. So there we have a little bit about Judgment, the Sergeant's personal bolt rifle that he went... So he has obviously gone to great lengths to reclaim after losing it. Then into our play articles. So we've got advancing and falling back. So how to make advanced moves and how and when to fall back. So if you've got a unit that can do more damage to a unit from shooting than it can in melee, you'll fall back with a unit that's locked in combat, and your new unit can move up and roast the target. Then we've got our scenario, so pitched battle. We're actually in the middle of a battle here. The captain has engaged the Termagants, and we've got an Inferno squad rushing to aid him. He also has the Barb Gaunts and Von Ryan's Leapers bearing down on him, so it's going to be an interesting little matchup. So here we fall back with the captain, and the Infernus Marines toast the Termagants. And then in future turns, we've got the Barb Gaunts and the Von Ryan's Leapers to deal with as well. And that's that. Finally then, we have issue 10. Really looking forward to seeing what this issue does with the paint guy. But we might have to wait a few issues before we see it finished. We'll see how we go. Interestingly, no little plastic cover on the brush. No, definitely not one in the bag. So, yeah, we have a 40mm base. And there we have our Terminator Librarian. Really cool model. I've actually painted 2 of this guy, mainly because my first one I dropped during priming and I broke his fingers on the casting hand here. So yeah, I picked up a second one, but I haven't got around to finishing it. And I have my third one, which will be adding to my Blood Angels. So yeah, pretty cool model. And we have an STC base brush, which will be coming in very handy, hopefully, in this issue's paint tutorial. So let's dive into issue 10. The only issue I don't know what the contents is of, as this doesn't actually come out till next week. So yeah, here we go. Build guide, of course, for the Terminator Librarian. So how to build him, sandwiching the body between the two torso pieces as shown in the picture to the left here. Building up his arm before sticking it into place, gluing on his axe and his shoulder pads before putting them down to his base. So yeah, really cool model. So for painting wise, he's being done fairly simply at the moment. We are Macragge blue all over for the base coat or undercoat. Base coating the black details, so the joints in the armor, any bits of leather, casing of the gun with Abaddon Black, picking out detail with Retributor armor. So little skulls in places. We've got a reliquary sort of thing on his chest, his iron halo, and the icons on his force axe. And we've got his medallion there as well for picking out Retributor armor. Finally, Wraithbone for his face and his skull. And that's about it. Haven't even picked out his purity seals yet. I suppose we're waiting for Rakoff Flesh and Screamer Pink. But yeah, he's looking a bit bland, really. Hopefully we'll be adding more colours to him in a future issue. Yeah, not too bad. Moving on then, we have our read article all about the Ecclesiarchy. So this is the Church of the Imperium. We see the Battle Sisters there, the Cult Imperialis. We have the Devastator Doctrine, so looking at the different doctrines of the Space Marines combat strategy. This one is the application of heavy firepower. There's the Storm Talon I was talking about, actually, earlier on. So yeah, Desolation Squads, Storm Talon Gunships, Ballistus Dreadnought, Repulsor Executioner. Yeah, pretty cool. Nice bit about the Space Marines Heavy Support Arsenal. Moving on, we've got our collect article then, so we can name our librarian. And of course we've got a title we can give him, and we can give him a bit of a background as well. There's his data sheet. So dual weapon profiles, we've got Smite. You can either have it as a focused or a dispersed witchfire attack. Pretty cool. And we're moving on to our play articles. So this is all about weapon abilities. So pistol weapons, rapid fire weapons, blast weapons, such as the barbed gaunts here, torrent weapons, which we've already covered, basically our flamethrower weapons, heavy weapons, so again our barbed gaunts, devastating weapons such as the psychic powers from the librarian, and again covering psychic powers. Finally then we have assault and hazardous, so this covers pretty much all our units up to this stage. So scenario 6 sees our Terminator Librarian on his own versus the Von Rhine Leapers, Termagants, and the Winged Tyranid Prime. So our poor little Terminator Librarian has to deal with a relative horde of Tyranids. So we move, we shoot, we charge, and then we fight. So as we can see, he is actually pretty powerful enough to take on the Von Rhine's Leapers by himself. We've got a little bit of a battle tip here. So if faced with multiple enemies, it's best to direct your attacks against the unit that is the greatest threat to the Librarian. So your suggested priority targets are the Winged Prime, the Von Rhine's Leapers, and finally the Termagants, who are pretty weak on their own. So we have the Von Rhine's Leapers, though, as their first target, so we'll be dealing with them first. On the Tyranids' turn, the Tyranids will get their move, their shoot, their charge, and then the fight phase will happen. Best way to enjoy this mission is by playing it through with an opponent, taking turns to play both sides to get a feel of how your units work. And then we got the victory. Finally then, as we saw this on the opening up of the box, we'll cover it. The next 2 issues, or 3 issues actually. So we get another paint issue in issue 11, 2 new paints, Corax White and Leadbelcher. We learn about the Omnissiah, which is the god of the machines, or the emperor who the Mechanicum sees as the god of machines. And we learn about the command phase and command abilities. So I'm expecting we'll see command points on the corner of issue 11. So I might try to pick up an extra issue just because it's useful paints, and if we do have tokens, it'll save me having to ruin my magazine too much. And in issues 12 and 13, we have the Space Marine Terminators. So, as much with our Termagants, we'll have a build and then a paint issue. So we build our Terminators, learn about Space Marine doctrines, and we learn about Battle Shock phase and tests. Then we deploy the Terminators, we have more Silver Templars, we have special abilities, and I'm guessing we'll also have our paint guide in here for them as well. Right, rambled on long enough, so let's bring it all back in. I'll give you my final thoughts on this issue, this delivery, as well as the price. So there we have it. That was delivery 3 of Combat Patrol, and yeah, a pretty good delivery. Kind of light in some aspects, mostly the paints and hobby side of things, although we do get the brush, so I might start using that before we get to issue 10. But yeah, hobby-wise, we get brush and 2 new paints, so not too bad. Gaming-wise, we only get the plastic ruler. Like I said, grab yourself a tape measure. These won't be very useful when we get to full-size battles. But yeah, nice that it's included in the collection. Models-wise, again, kind of light, but that's because we've had units spread out over multiple issues. But we do get quite a few models, so 11 models there, plus our Librarian, so 12 models total. Not a bad bunch for a delivery. As we know from Warhammer, the next delivery 4, as we've seen on the back cover of issue 10, is going to be 2 paints, the Terminators over 2 issues, and I believe it's another 2 paints after that. So double paint delivery. So yeah, Corax White and Lead Belcher. Then we have the Terminators, and then I believe it's 2 red paints. I could be mistaken. Yeah, I think it's Mephiston Red and Wild Rider Red. I will double check and edit in post if I'm incorrect. But yeah, pretty good delivery magazine. Great content as usual. Lots to read, lots to do in the issues. Yeah, the paint issue, pretty basic. We do get some good colors. Gold and black helps add some extra detail to our models, so they'll start to look a little less bland and a little bit more colorful, which is nice. Other than that, can't say much. So yeah, great delivery, I think, anyway. So price wise then, I am paying premium, so this is $47.96 for the 4 issues. If you're not paying premium, that's £8 off, so you're looking at £39.96, I believe it would be. So yeah, not too bad for what you get. The Termagants, I believe, are 28, but you do get a weapon sprue with them, which is kind of cool. I've been trying to find it online, can't find it for love nor money. The Terminator, I believe, is 25 on his own, so yeah, pretty good for a tenner for the issue, not too bad. The brush, again, is pretty good. The STC brushes are kind of pricey from Games Workshop, but they are really good quality. I've used quite a few, and I can't find fault with them, really. They're really good. So, for model-wise, I think it's going to be a solid 5 out of 5. Paints-wise, a 3 out of 5, only because we got the brush. Gaming accessories, a 0 out of 5. Really. Well, I'll give it a 1 out of 5. It's something, and it's considerate at least. But Finally then, magazine content is going to be a 5 out of 5 again, which, quick bit of math, gives us a roughly average 3.5 out of 5 for the entire delivery. Not the best, but it is a fun delivery nonetheless. So yeah, looking forward to the future issues. We've got some good models coming up. Those Terminators are going to be good. Yeah, let me know what you think of this video and this latest delivery in the comment section down below. Yeah, and until next time, don't forget to, of course, check out warbay.shop, proud sponsor of this series. A big thank you to everyone for watching. Hope you've made it this far. And yeah, I will see you next time for more Combat Patrol Carnage. Goodbye.